I'm Bas van Abel. I'm creative director of an organization called Wax Society. And I've been involved in setting up FabLab, doing several projects on social innovation. What is a FabLab? Well, a FabLab is a place, an open access place where everyone can create their own ideas into tangible products. With the use of digital fabrication. And digital fabrication are machines that, computer-controlled machines. So you can share files all around the world. There's more than 100 Fab Labs around the world already. So it's a collaborative knowledge base and a local production mechanism. Well, the best way to do that is to open up your facilities and tell them it's free, and everybody will come. And if they're there, you tell them that you have to document what they're doing and help other people to create to create solutions for their problems as well. So opening up your facility and using a practice of collaboration and sharing is mainly those are the main ingredients, and people will come. Oh, the toaster project. Yeah, Thomas Thwaites went to a shop, bought a toaster for I think £3 or £4, and he asked himself the question: how is it possible that you can make a toaster for £3 or £4? And well, he took that seriously and went and made his own toaster. And he really went into the mines and got the iron ore and got the iron out of the iron ore. So he did it step-by-step process by making his toaster completely himself. So it's an industrial product made by one person. Yeah, well, I think the problem with legal issues and what's happening with this digital fabrication, which basically means that part of a product becomes information, which is shareable over the internet. The main problem would be for the industry itself, and not so much for the users, because if it's going to get to a point where everybody is doing it, we have to look at how to find a system in which that works as well. It's the same as what's happening with information on the internet already. It's very hard to keep up with this old industrial models and copyrights on what's happening in the network culture. Well, I have no idea. I think, a lot of people say 3D printing is still a promise, especially when you look at the open source 3D printers, which are not about creating products, but are much more about having a grip on technology itself. I think the interesting part about 3D printing is being part of the technological development as we speak. Once it becomes a production mechanism, as within consumerism, I think the danger for 3D printing is that it becomes, a factory itself, and a factory around the corner where people, even produce more and more and more. So hopefully, this whole consumerism aspect of 3D printing will not, be the main focus in the next coming years. And some say everyone will have a 3D printer in their house, and I don't believe that. It wouldn't make sense to have a 3D printer in your own house, because from a sustainable perspective, it wouldn't make sense. We need too much 3D printers. And I think when you look at the future, within 10, 15 years, there will be a lot of facilities who offer the service of 3D printable products. So you can download a product at home. You bring it, you send it to you adjust it, you send it to the 3D printing facility, and they ship it to your house around the corner, or they bring it. That's a viable future, but I think the main interest of the 3D printers, at this point, is getting a grip on technology. A lot of stuff is going on in the production of phones. You know the stories about Foxconn, but also in the mining in the Eastern Congo. Last 10 years, 4 million deaths related to the production of these minerals, which we use for the phones. So we sat together with a bunch of people and we said we have to do something about this. We have to make people aware of that. But you can make people aware of it, but there is no solution. There's no alternative to the phones we have at this point. There's no one that can say, well, this phone is conflict free or this phone is fair. We have green energy, we have fair chocolate, but there is no fair phone. So being a bit naive, we said, why not make this phone ourselves? And of course it's very hard to make a phone, but on the other hand it's very easy because it's being made already. So what if we do it step by step, and we're not going to do it alone because we cannot make a phone ourselves totally alone. But we create this platform called Fairphone, where we have this. It's a discussion platform where all the stakeholders in the production chain of phone development, from recycling to the mining, can join and see how they can contribute in a more even distribution of the profits for this for the production of this phone. So that means that we have designers working on the phone to make it more easy to recycle them. We have people from NGOs who are helping us in Congo to help set up corporations which we work with to make batteries, and so on and on. So it's a platform. It's really creating a product, but it's also a means to an end. It's by the phone is not the product, the platform is the product, and where people discuss how the phone should be made or how the production of electronics actually should be. Yeah, we have many partners. Also, we mix. It's a good mix of people. It's consumers. We have T-Mobile, Vodafone, KPN. They're all involved in it. Samsung, we're talking with them. On the other hand, we are talking with mining companies in Congo. So it's from all the stakeholders involved in the use and the production and the recycling of these phones should be involved, because the problem is too big. If I ask someone, are you going to help me create world peace? Nobody will help, because it's too big. But if you say, well, let's make a phone together, it's fun. People want to join making a phone. So it's flattening in a way a really big problem, a huge problem, because when you're talking about fairness, it's becoming really complicated. But by using the phone as something we work towards and really create an artifact, that really helps. Yeah, a lot of people actually think technology grows in the factory. But everything, and really everything, comes out of the ground. Also phones. And one of the experiences I had when I was in Congo in the mines was that it was kind of a weird idea that these guys going 60 meters under the ground and digging there, and they stay there for 3 days under the ground and getting the cobalt out for our batteries. And I had this cobalt in my hands, and I thought, all these phones. Most of the phones, part of it is handmade. It's dug out with hands in mines, and so we have this industrial product which is partly crafted as well, actually. And that's a weird, and that refers also to that idea of the toaster. We're kind of alienated from our products. I don't want to become too Marxistic, but it is true. Yeah. But on the other hand, I'm not against phones. Phones are great, and it's an ambiguous relation we have with these technologies. Technology is so complicated that we cannot, we don't even know where stuff is coming from, and the whole production system around technology and the technology itself is complicated. But we use technology to create transparency as well. One thing, looking at one of the best things I think which is happening with the FabLab is the relation we have with industrial products, because the FabLabs bring back this industry into the urban environment. You might call it post-industrial industrialization. I wouldn't say everything will be produced around the corner. It's just that making and production and then industrialization is part of our environment again. And that's something that's new. We've placed production because of the division of labor. We've placed it all around the world, the globalization. But now we get it to a bit more local context. So we are more aware of how products are made, and I hope that it will also influence our way of responsibility towards using products. Yeah, stuff. Yeah. But also, I think having creating ownership is important in that. Being part of the production of that product, or being aware of the production of that product, creates some kind of ownership, I think, which is also important to be able to create relations between you and the stuff you use, and also your environment. Don't take stuff for granted. We don't even know about the stuff around us, how it's made and who's behind it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not promoting that we have to go back in a situation which was before the industrial era. But that would be going back in time, because it wasn't that good at that time. But I think we really have to we really have to look at how industry is created, and all these invisibilities and mechanisms that keep it together. We have to point out how we make them visible again, so we can create this shared value around the whole production chain. So one example I can give you of an experience I had with not being able to open up products, and why I think it's really important to be able to open up products, is that I have a 9-year-old kid, and his Nintendo broke. He was, of course, crying, and I knew how to fix it because I know some electronics, and I knew it was probably a cable which was loose. So I started screwing open the Nintendo, and while I was screwing, after a while, the metal dust came up. So that I didn't know what was happening, so I screwed even further and further. And then I understand, the screws themselves. I was really screwing up the screws. And what Nintendo does is they make these screws inside, which use a different screwdriver. You have to use a different screwdriver for them to be able to open up your Nintendo. So I had to throw away this Nintendo eventually, because I was so pissed. So I opened it up with a hammer and stuff. So it was really ruined. So I had to throw away this Nintendo, even though I knew how to fix it. And that's the problem with all these electronics and all these things people make that you cannot open. And I think one of the quotes I really love from the Maker's Manifesto is, "If you can't open it, you don't own it." So if I had the right screws, and if there was a standard, and if it was easy to open it, I wouldn't have had that crying 9-year-old boy sitting next to me.